Pardon me, should we start from backwards forward? Yeah, why not? Let's try something different, man. It mixes it up. But yeah, smash the like button, people. Again, we keep getting linked with Asensio. I don't know who really buys this. Spurs do and Liverpool do. Arsenal risk losing another target to Juventus with Spurs. Liverpool also keen. Asensio's contract is running down. Depending on what article you read, he wants to stay at Madrid. Others say they want to get rid of him in January. Others say he's going to leave on the free, which obviously, if he wants a pay packet at 26, 27 years of age, on top of a new experience, Premier League clubs can probably offer you. But Juventus have set their eyes on Real Madrid winger Asensio, with Arsenal, Tottenham, and Liverpool also interested, according to the report. As I just said, his contract is running down. He's allowed to talk to teams for free from January. He's got 12 months left on his deal. Yeah, his agent is George Mendes. Obviously, George Mendes and Arsenal with Fabio Vieira, with a couple of alleged targets. It seems that we're starting to deal with a couple agents, so maybe that's where it comes from. Apparently, he wants 7 million a year, people, which is 1 million more than Di Maria earns at the Turin. Apparently, he's in no hurry to decide his future, which he shouldn't be. See what's going on, man. Let's see what's going on there. But yeah, it is what it is. I can't see him signing for Arsenal. But yeah, if you believe that, that's that in it. Apparently, Arsenal step up World Cup plans as Dubai trip and warm-up matches considered. And I'm happy with that, because obviously Dubai isn't too far from Qatar. So players that get eliminated from the World Cup, they can go over there and pattern something. Obviously, we don't know how the World Cup's going to impact the fixture schedule list for seasons to come, much less the players, on top of players already play too many games for club and country and of all these things, pre-season, which is as much as about fitness, it's about advertising and stuff, it's all fun and games. The 3 to 5 players going off and playing for their countries. What about the other 20? Because they can't just sit in their yard, really and truly. So it's nice to see that we're doing something. We do love Dubai. Last time we went to Dubai wasn't at the end of Guendouzi's time at Arsenal, so hopefully there's no bust ups there. But Arsenal step up World Cup plans as Dubai trip and warm up matches have been considered, people. So yeah, we have to see what's going on there. Obviously, Tomiyasu, Xhaka, Saka, all probably going to go to the World Cup. So we'll have to see what's going on. Football.London understands that Arsenal have begun considering taking their remaining players on a warm weather training camp to Dubai. The Gunners did this in January of last season, when a mixture of elimination from cup competitions and a lack of European football saw a considerable break arise organically in the schedule. Players were also allowed to bring their families for what was considered by all accounts an extremely successful trip. There's also the added bonus this year of Dubai's proximity to Qatar. Those players that are eliminated before the latter stages of the World Cup could well join up with the Arsenal group if they do indeed end up going to the UAE. Should they make the journey, it is likely they will arrange friendlies in order to preserve players' match fitness and complement the warm weather training that is undertaken. The mid-season trip could also provide some of the Gunners' talented youngsters a chance to impress in the absence of senior members of the squad. So you'd imagine Lino Sosa, Ethan Nweri, Koza Jubri, these sort of guys would be allowed. Walters, who went off to pre-season, Marquinhos, if still here and the loan's not been patterned, would have an opportunity to go elsewhere and whatnot, because someone's got to fill up the squad, be squad fillers if a couple of players are away, people. So yeah, it is what it is in that regard. So yeah, that's us at Dubai. Balogun signed a new contract 2 weeks ago, but well, I'm exaggerating, but I wouldn't mind him signing a new one. Apparently, Arteta would like for Balogun to extend his contract at Arsenal and then be loaned out for an extra season at Reims, provided they stay in the league, with the extension by a season of the loan currently being studied. And that's true. You're very obviously Smith Rowe went Huddersfield and came back, but he's not just gonna be a better player, more confident player, but you're not gonna rock up a Thierry Henry regen. Minutes are currency, and if we get Champions League football, admittedly, there should be less chances for young players next season. Europa League is one thing. You can't be just randomly playing young players in the Champions League. If we get top 4 this year, we need to show we can get it next year. So you do have to always promote young players. But yeah, if Balogun can go off and play some football elsewhere, why not? As I said, we hope that all of these players in and around the first team can progress to our first team. If not, can we make decent money? Forgive me, but Balogun is an asset for the club. He's someone that's young. Hopefully, he could be someone to be used in Arsenal squad. If not, sell him on. The same could be said for Eddie and other players, and what we should have done with Ainsley Maitland-Niles and potentially Reece Nelson. Depending on who you read, Juventus move. Apparently, they like Douglas Luiz, and Juventus have a fetish for midfielders. So yeah, that could be a spanner in the works, people. Roma also on the trail as well, people. So it all depends what's going to be done in that regards. This was the first report. Arsenal to make third transfer offer for Aston Villa star Douglas Luiz in January, and it will be less than previous bids, obviously with his contract running down. Arsenal make another move for Aston Villa midfielder Douglas Luiz in January, despite having 2 bids knocked back on transfer deadline day. I mean, Mikel Arteta is becoming increasingly concerned about the recurring absence of injury-prone Thomas Partey and wants a top-quality replacement to reinforce his squad. And he hopes Villa could finally be persuaded to cash in on Luiz in the new year rather than lose the 24-year-old Brazilian international for nothing next summer. But the Premier League leaders are likely to offer less than 23 million they were willing to pay for the player. His Villa contract remaining when the transfer window reopens. He has refused all the club's effort to extend his deal. Arsenal believe that a 15 million bid would be more than reasonable price for a player who cost Villa 12.5 million when he joined them. So they make a small profit. City are probably still owed some of that. Probably sell him abroad, in my opinion. Sell him for 10 million to Juventus. I would do that if I was Villa. I mean, I would like Luiz. He could get better. He's 24. He's Premier League proven. He's not amazing, but he could be a good option for us to play with Partey or instead of Partey and things like that. His contract or the money, you're going to have several people interested in him, really. So let's see what's going on in that regards. So yeah, has the Daily Mail said anything? Didn't we bid 3 times on deadline day? So wouldn't this technically be the 4th one? But yeah, man, this is just reiterating the same thing that will go again from in January. We're going to pick up Telemans as well. What's going on with Danilo? In fact, Danilo Palmeiras, I'm sure there was an article I was supposed to read with you. Open up a new tab. So we'll spin the block for them once again. But yeah, man, it is what it is with that, really. Club chief reveals how he put foot down on Arsenal's summer bid for star talent under any circumstances. The Palmeiras president has been speaking, folks, and he is circumstances. He's having a bit of a flat season. Maybe that's because of things going on, people. I want to see specifically what he said. He said, regarding Danilo, I said he wasn't going to leave, and he didn't. I'll tell you, players of this size, important in the history of Palmeiras, I don't make decisions alone. I always consult our coaching staff. If my coach says he can't lose the player under any circumstances, he can't leave. And he's played 131 times for Palmeiras with 12 goals and 9 assists. He's been quite poor, though, if I'm honest with you, from what I can see. But apparently his boss is angry that he hasn't been called up to the Brazil team. Oh, he did, but he made the bench. So yeah, he's probably the only one of a couple of players that are not playing in Europe that have been in the Brazil team. I think it'd be a bit unfair to expect him to, to just hit the ground running in January, because he comes with a solid ground of experience, been called up to Brazil, 21 years of age, 131 appearances. But you're asking someone to go from that to European football in the mid-season, where I assume we're still challenging for top 4, and that almost gives him no scope to get ready and develop and things like that, which is why, if you could, Douglas Luiz, because he can kind of do this thing right now, and Danilo for the short, medium, and long term. So yeah, man. The manager of Palmeiras slammed the decision about Danilo. It was really bad for him to go to the national team. I remember I had that internal conversation with the club. I expressed my opinion about his departure, but I'm not in charge. He's going through a less good phase. That's part of it. And that's true. At 21, you're going to struggle for consistency, really, really and truly. So I hope we can do something in that regards, people. Apparently, Palmeiras have protected his transfer value in tying him to a new contract early this year. His release clause is now set at 85.5 million. Obviously, no one is going to pay that, but it is what it is, people, in that regard. So if you want the guy, you're going to have to give them what they want. In the summer, we did hear they're more open to selling him in January. Whether that happens, I don't know, people. We'll circle back on that. Romano claims not signing Raphinha was Arsenal's biggest regret. Where's the other wingers then? Because Raphinha was probably dream chasing. Romano has told whatever that not signing Raphinha was Arsenal's biggest regret of the summer, though a deal was impossible once Barca were able to afford the winger. So we was hinging on Barca being broke and maybe Chelsea moving away. The Athletic said that Chelsea was his second choice. So I don't know about any of that, people, but hopefully, they're right. Smash the like button, people. We're almost at 100 likes. We're flirting with it, but we're not quite there yet. Away from that, though, let's see what's been said allegedly. Raphinha was the top priority. I think the biggest regret of the market for Arsenal was Raphinha because they wanted him. I mentioned the Brazilian connection with Gabriel Jesus and Edu, but it's the same with Raphinha. Raphinha was really open to discussing with Arsenal at some point. Hopefully, you can do the Alexis Sanchez thing and sign for us once Barca rub you out. Apparently, they want to go for Messi and play him off the right, which I don't know if that's what they own, but Raphinha was really open to discussing with Arsenal at some point. Then in the end, when Barca were able to pay that money, 55 for Raphinha, it was only Barcelona. It was his biggest dream since he was a kid. This is why it was impossible for Arsenal to compete, but they were there. They had conversations with Leeds. They had 2 official bids made to Leeds. That's great. You can bid as much as you want. You don't get the player, move on. They don't care if it's him, Pedro Neto. We was linked with several wingers. Nothing came in the club. In fact, one left. In Pepe. So you can try. I admire you for trying. I admire you for actually not just buying anyone just for the sake of it, but fundamentally, if we need a winger to come off the bench and impact the game, there's an imaginary man, you know, big up Marquinhos and Nelson. It's a bit like Aubameyang. You can't bring save wages off the bench last January. So yeah, it is what it is with Raphinha, man. He's doing his thing over them sides. So it is what it is. I think we saw these comments with Balogun yesterday, but I'll read them again. I'm at an age where it's really important to be playing regularly. This season, it was important to choose a team where I knew I was able to play and show what I can do. The ideal scenario would be to play well and go back into Arsenal's first team. But I'm aware it will never be easy. Football's never as easy as you think. I just have to stay humble and see what happens. I think they just mean and see what happens. So yeah, man, it is what it is. He said Saliba has really shocked me because it just shows you how going out on loan works. He's been out on loan for a few seasons, got really good experience, and when you watch him now, you think he must be about 27 because he looks so confident. Apologies, that the second comments of David Seamans. But yeah, he's not wrong. Once again, Raphinha was a top priority. I think the biggest regret of the market for Arsenal was Raphinha. They wanted him. Raphinha was really open to discussing with Arsenal at some point, but he's not here, so it's irrelevant. We've been linked with Aura again. Arsenal can finally end 2-year transfer chase as bargain January presents itself. Another one like Telemans, like Douglas Luiz, who is contracted until 2023. We've been handed a golden chance. Now, apparently he has been offered a contract extension at Lyon and not taking it. I do think Balogun shows more maturity with his mindset and growth because especially when his contract was winding down, he seemed like a kid that just wanted to be told he's special with all the indirects on social media. You're special, that's why you're at Arsenal, but your talent's got you there. Your application keeps you in the room, and you know, sometimes you might do everything well, you might not get a chance. Let's be real. It's really unlikely for a young striker, unless you're doing a mad thing, to end up becoming Arsenal's first choice striker or anything. You've got Eddie who stayed. Maybe that could have presented something. Hopefully, Balogun can show he can be used in Arsenal's rotation squad and things like that. Or if not, can we make money? Obviously, he's 21. The next few years could be political. So just we've got an asset. He might have to go on loan for a few years and then come back into the fold. But he's developing. He's doing what he needs to do. He's where he should be at this age in time. He looks a lot better than he did at Middlesbrough, built on the experiences of Middlesbrough, showing more consistency and the rest of it, people. So he just needs to keep going. Where is that around Hour? I'm sure I saw something with Hour. So yeah, man, it made sense. He picked a good move in Reims. He could have went to a Premier League team, but he might not have started week in, week out. You're getting that at Reims. You're getting importance. Like Romano said, he's scoring goals. He's a starter. He's having what he wanted. This loan deal to Reims has been a smart move. You know, him and Austin Tusty at Birmingham, if the season ended tomorrow, for me, they're 2 very early candidates to be in with Arsenal loan player of the year, really. I think Tusty's done well, but a better player than I thought. Don't know if he'll make the grade and all of that at Arsenal. But again, money. The whole point of these players, whether they've come out the academy or been sourced during the academy stage, is that you progress to the first team or you make money that can be reinvested into this thing, really and truly. So, yeah, we've been handed a golden chance to sign him. You know, far gone are the days where the 50 million valuation for Owl was there. His stock has fallen, really, and he's had an ankle injury. I mean, I'd take him, but it's not that deep. I'm not as quite hot on it. But multiple Premier League clubs were interested in signing him in the summer and were quoted just 12.6 million, 15 million euros. So why weren't nobody on it? Lyon were keen to cash in. The 24-year-old is out of contract in 9 months' time, and Arsenal can agree something indirectly. I don't think we're going to get Aura or Telemans. I want to be wrong, but I think you get Aura or Telemans. You don't have both of them and Douglas Luiz and Xhaka and everything else. So yeah, man. Someone that had Pep waxing lyrical, Arsenal wanted, Juventus wanted, and all these other teams in Europe wanted, that's available for 12.6. He was primarily linked with Betis and that, really and truly. You need patience, that's why, you need patience. But for Arsenal, you never really get patience, really. We need to have a player that's kind of ready in the medium term or be sold on. For him, he's in his early 20s. you know. He'll get to where he needs to get to. And for Tammy Abraham, you know, you look at Tammy at the age of 21, he had a couple of loans on his belt, really. Tammy Abraham, you know, I don't know why he didn't get a chance at Chelsea, but it is what it is. While it is understood Arsenal are set to continue their pursuit of Aston Villa's Douglas Luiz in January, Alwa would also represent a cheap option, and it may prove too tempting to pass up. But he, at 24 years of age, is a free transfer. He'd probably want a decent signing on bonus and a wage. The Brazilian will be free to discuss nominal fee with Lyon. We face competition from Newcastle, people. So we'll have to see. Auer spoken out on his decision to turn down Arsenal and stay with Lyon in 2020. He said, I'm in a headspace to have a great season with my club and recover the points that we have lost. So, of course, we are going to try and have the best season and try to put the team and the club back in its rightful place at the top of France. So, yeah, man. Don't think Batiste is going to do that for you, but yeah, it is what it is. Leon's still looking to renew Auer's contract, as you can see here. Clearly, they don't want to lose any bread. So there you have that, people. Arsenal and Tottenham eye Harry Kane and Gabriel Jesus back up in Jonathan David transfer race. I mean, hopefully, we seeing 60 million euro quotes for him. It's crazy. I want to scroll all the way down to where this is, people. Fabrizio Romano has said, on Jonathan David, I think he's a great striker. Sometimes he's underrated. He's always scoring goals, still young. Fell off a bit towards the tail end of last year. Still able to improve even more. And he is a decent guy. I think after the World Cup, his situation will be clear. Let's see if January or next summer, fee could be 35 million to 40 million euros. That equates to about 31.3 million quid to 35.8 million quid, but also dependent on performances this season. He was on Arsenal and Tottenham's list 1 year ago. Then they decided to invest on Premier League proven players like Jesus and Richarlison. So I think we've been done there, really. You know, I think that's a bit clickbaity. Not really the article is not really anything the headline said, is it really? Apparently, the 22-year-old has an impressive 6-goal contribution in his first 8 Lille games played this season in Liga. This represents an overall expected goals of, I can't see because the mouse is there, 3.5. Expected assists is 1.2. That's great, but stats don't really mean stuff, and you have to be careful of the purple patches, really. You know, it's a bit like Balogun, right? You know, you got 5 or 6 goals in whatever, it looks wavy, but if you got 5 or 6 in 20, again, you're learning. It's not necessarily the worst of things, but you know what's more important for me with Balogun, goals mean everything, and you need to score goals. I know Balogun can score. I still think his decision making isn't quite there. Sometimes he's a bit blinkered, but Balogun is, you know, as a striker, you can't just stand in the 6-yard box unless you're historically CR7. I think Balogun is making better runs for his teammates, for himself. He's working the channels. You know, that's what's more impressive than necessarily scoring. We live in a day and age where a lot of players go through mad purple patches and people are actually not, the devil's in the details. So he's doing what he can in it. Jonathan David looks a good player, you know, but like somebody said there, we just need to see more longevity. Again, I do think Arsenal don't need necessarily a backup striker, but if you could bring in someone that can play up front or someone that is a striker, why not? 35 to 40 million, I think it's needing to become a lot more clearer before we go for that. So it is what it is. Kulusevski, a doubt for the North London derby. Again, mind games being played between Spurs and Arsenal. I mean, in a nice way, I hope you are out. I hope you are healthy, but I hope you are out. Again, speaking of injury, Cedric has picked up a knock. He won't be in the squad for the game against Spurs. Apparently, he's picked up another knock. There's been a setback. Cedric has picked up a fresh knock and will be out for a week or two. Really unlucky for him just after coming back from an injury that saw him miss to Zurich and Brentford before the break. And he was someone that could have went to Fulham in the summer, didn't. So let's see. There's optimism around Thomas Partey, Zinchenko and Tomiyasu in relation to Tierney people as well. So let's hope Ahmad Tin can go down there. What's this? Obviously, skipping ahead, Smith Rowe undergoes surgery, people. In recent months, Smith Rowe has been experiencing discomfort in his groin, which has limited his training and match appearances. Clearly, that tells you surgery was probably the last option that they wanted to do, but this is the only way to mitigate it. So short-term pain, long-term game. Hopefully in December, injuries will always happen to a footballer. Like a chef will always cut his hand, but hopefully he can train and play without any injuries, get his confidence, get his fluidity, and then when he's in his top peak conditioning, get some match fitness. And a match fit Smith Rowe is a problem for anyone connected to Arsenal. Whether it's in the 10 off the left, he's our guy, innit? But yeah, people, following a significant setback at our Premier League match against Manchester United at Old Trafford on September the 4th, and after further specialist consultations and discussions with our medical team, Emil underwent surgery to repair a damaged tendon in his groin. This successful surgery took place in London in the past few days, and Emil's rehab program is already underway. We hope that Emil will return to full training in December. First things first, God bless the fact that, there's been no hiccups in surgery. Everyone at the club will now be supporting and working hard with Emil to get him back on the pitch as soon as possible. Hopefully you can do a thing, because you was a starter for us, and at points you was a serious impact player off the bench last season. Big up Arsenal. Apparently the no more red than Arsenal Forest and Arsenal Forest receive recognition. Obviously, remember, we wore these shirts to deal with knife crime, and apparently we have been honoured at the Community Award at the Leadership Sports Awards, while Arsenal Forest Matchday Programme in this innovative was also a runner-up in a sustainability category. So yeah, shout out them for that one there. What's this? Big up Lacazette. Lacazette has almost completely regained his voice following surgery on his vocal cords after a clip of the former Arsenal star struggling to speak properly went viral online. So yeah, big up Lacazette, our former striker. We saw this yesterday, and I keep saying it. I want Arsenal to have a stable of clubs. But apparently Chelsea, Arsenal, and Liverpool all hope to become multiple club networks. Considering those three clubs all have American owners, I don't know if it's the premise of what the City Group are doing, but allegedly the owners of Arsenal and Liverpool have joined Chelsea's Todd Burhi in looking into establishing a multi-club network pioneered by Man City's owner, City Football Group. It's understood that Stan Kroenke, who already owns an MLS team, and his Liverpool counterpart, John W. Henry, have explored adding clubs inside and outside Europe to their portfolios. And we've also heard Arsenal are keen on clubs in Brazil and Portugal, which could help us. They got wavy players. After Burry indicated he would like to set up what he described as a multi-club model. And obviously, when it comes to work permits, sharing knowledge of the local area with players, and maybe even marketing, sharing coaches, first options, getting around work permits, finding loan clubs for players. The more clubs we can get in Holland and things, it can help us really. I want Arsenal to be in a situation where we buy players from corners of the world that never touch Arsenal's first team and get sold on for profit, like you've seen historically at Chelsea. Burhi is believed to have begun the process of finding other clubs to invest in after reportedly being turned down by Brazilian club Santos, where Pele spent most of his career. He's understood to have instructed Chelsea's new president of business, Tom Glick, to take charge of the process, which could lead to an investment in clubs in Belgian and Portuguese leagues. They and Brazil are seen as potentially lucrative sources of young players, with Burhi believed to have consulted George Mendes over which clubs to consider buying in the Portuguese agent's homeland. Kroenke, who owns Colorado Rapids in MLS, the Denver Nuggets in the NBA, Colorado in the NHL, and the NFL champions LA Rams, among others, is also understood to have explored the possibility of acquiring clubs in Brazil, Belgium, and Portugal. While Arsenal sources have played down any immediate plans, the club are believed to want to develop their existing links with the South American country in particular. Arsenal were cleared of improper dealings with the Belgian club Bavarian after a FIFA investigation in 2006. That was the club that saw Yaya Toure, Abue Kolo, and a bunch of others before Kroenke's involvement. Liverpool's owner, what they trying to do is understood they would like to add a stable, but they've declined to comment. So yeah, as you know, people, the possibility of helping players from weaker leagues to become eligible for work permits in the UK by exploiting such would be good. According to a study by The Athletic, 9 Premier League clubs, Arsenal, Brentford, Brighton, Palace, Leicester City, Forest, Southampton, and West Ham, have between them ties to 25 clubs in Europe and further afield. So yeah, do your thing, man. And you did see in the summer, Edu was trying to build relations with Feyenoord and in Brazil. So maybe he's been sent to operate on the ground, really. So it is what it is. Balogun is much better than Eddie equals. It's a bit harsh. I don't know who's clear of each other, because I think Eddie's ahead because he's had more opportunities, but you never know in a year. It's good for us because maybe both can make it at Arsenal, maybe both don't. But it's nice that both Balogun and Eddie are tied down in terms of contracts because they're assets. And especially Arsenal, we can't spend 100 million on a player like that and do it again, like you've seen with City. So if we get in the champs, where there's obviously a financial impact, and obviously we can develop players that can make it here but be sold on and actually do better with selling players, we can reinvest, and maybe there's a bit more money to just give people what they want for several of the targets, because there's several players. When we get into bidding wars, you just know it's going to end in heartbreak. So hopefully we do a thing, people. So yeah, man, that's that. We've already seen this, but once again, Smith Rowe is he's out until at least December. He's had surgery. El Nene's out until the new year as well. Zinchenko could be back for the North London derby. Odegaard played during the international break. The same goes for him. The same goes for Partey, hopefully. And obviously, Tierney suffered a head injury, but should be back. So hopefully that does a thing for us. Mertesacker and Wilshere on record breaker. Nawari is doing his thing, people, really and truly. And what has he said on Ethan? Who, let's let the man develop, people. Obviously, he broke the record for whatever. Hopefully, he signs a deal here and signs his scholar and given a pro. Mikel gave everyone a powerful message. I have to say how much it trickled down. I've seen videos of the under-9s, under-10s cheering Ethan on at Haaland. That's what it's about. And it gives Ethan something to go back and work on, really. It shows that there's a pathway. Clearly, you know, he's obviously earned the opportunity, but he's someone that hasn't committed to signing a scholar yet. So there's probably a bit of gamesmanship. He's one of football's worst kept secrets. He's become a star overnight, but he plays for England at youth level. Everyone knows he's wavy, a bit like Jude Bellingham. Everyone knew about him at Brum. So yeah, it's nice to see that. Hopefully he keeps developing. It's just brilliant to see. That's what we're proud of, that we can show progression, that we can show pathways. It was a very proud moment, first of all, for himself and his family. It's a reflection as well of what this club's about, what the academy is about. Again, it's a amen. You know, right now, Smith Rowe, Saka, and a couple of others. RIP Rocastle, big up Tony Adams. I see him on Dancing on Ice or whatever. Our academy always has to be there. A lot of youngsters entering the academy have the dream of playing for Arsenal Football Club, and he made that dream come true. It was a proud moment for us as an academy. Pardon me, and he set a lot of records. Jack Wilshere said, we need to give a lot of credit to everyone at Haaland, everyone that's helped him and supported him over the years. There are a lot of people who are really proud, and I'm one of them. I think we all are. I've been around for a couple of months, a little bit last season. So let's thank everyone down at Haaland for their support and their hard work. Now he's part of the team, one of my players, so I'll give him all the support and guidance he needs, bro. As he can play a bunch of roles. Where he ends up long-term, who knows? But you could learn a lot from Wilshere as a footballer. He's played for England. He's won FA Cups. He's been dealing with that wonder kid label, whether he's hit potential or not. There's a lot of experience, not just him, but Wilshere can filter down. As I've said, Ethan, I think if he wants it, can play for Arsenal's first team. Potential, all of this stuff, I'll leave that to you experts. But Ethan, Miles as well in the under-18s, if he wasn't injured, I think he could do this thing as well. Colza Dewberry, there's other players, but I think them three, if they really want it and they really work hard, I'd be really surprised if they don't follow Saka, Smith Rowe, and these sort of players. But what do I know? One thing that I learned pretty quickly, maybe not quickly enough, but looking back, I realized is there are a lot of players at the people at the club who have his best interests at heart. He has to listen to them. He has to somehow block out the noise. Again, true. You know, you've got Rio Ferdinand and Fabrizio Romano just chatting shit, saying he's this, that, and the other, putting his name and fold in there. I don't know. It's not going to help anyone, really, because the same rope you climb upon is the same rope that these individuals, not necessarily Rio or Fabrizio Romano, but the footballing world will hang you with. I know he has a good family around him, which was important in my case as well. Keep his feet on the ground, but he's the type of kid that will do that. He's a really driven boy. I think that giving young players a chance is part of the tradition of Arsenal Football Club. It was a big day for the whole club, and hopefully we can use it as an inspiration for the boys at Haaland, but also for the boys here who can get experience training every day and trying to push in the first team. Again, facts, and more facts. For me, there isn't a damn thing I can add to that. So yeah, that is the news, people.